right, we are live today. Welcome to the Freedom Path Investors Podcast. We are a real estate investing podcast. This is not another guru podcast. We are full-time real estate investors with the core focus of building a rental portfolio of 100 doors over the next 5 years. And we started this here to share our journey with you. And we're having on our podcast some of our mentors and peers that are helping us along the way. Today, we have a very special guest. If you don't know him, he's one of the nation's #1 wholesaling mobile home park real estate experts and has acquired over $22.5 million of assets throughout his career. Without further ado, we have Mr. Chris Rood today. Thanks for doing this, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely, man. So we met you last month at your Mastermind event that you hosted down in Destin, Florida. And I got to say, man, the value that we walked away with was tremendous, man. You and your wife put on a really good event. There was 25, 30 investors from around the country. You had some of the best experts in the industry there, and it was a ton of fun, man. Yeah.
Let's see.
We freezing up?
Yep. Okay, I'm back.
All right, we got you, man.
There you go.
All right, so I don't know if you cut out during my little intro there, Chris, but what else should everybody know about you, man? Who's Chris Rood?
Chris Rood is a common man trying to do uncommon things. That's it, my brother. I'm just a common man that's a really, really hard worker. And I'm a no bullshit kind of guy that's very, very intentional. You either love me or hate me. I really don't give two shits. I know what I want and I go after it, and I try to help people along the way. And did I mention I'm an anti-communist?
No, but if anybody follows you on social media, they're pretty well aware.
Just wanted to throw that in there.
Hey, I think we're in the same boat with you, man. You see the flag behind us. We call ourselves the Freedom Path Investors. So,
a lot to do with we're pro-capitalists. How about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
So Chris, you told us when we met you at the Mastermind, you were already an entrepreneur before you got into real estate. You had a pretty successful car business, but just talk a little bit about how you got started in real estate investing and what your business looked like early on.
So the way I got started with it's kind of a long story, but I'll give you the 50,000-foot view. So I've always been entrepreneurial since I was in 4th, 5th grade. I was selling baseball cards and basketball cards out of the back of my book sack, selling the future of what I thought it would be worth in the future, like a Shaquille O'Neal card or a Michael Jordan card.
Yeah.
And I would sell it at a profit, right? And so I always had that entrepreneurial spirit of sales and wanting to make a profit. From there, I always told myself I'm going to start my own business one day. And my sophomore year in college, I was working for my parents. I was working at ins and odd jobs, working at restaurants as a waiter and busboy, and I wanted to start my own business. And I didn't know where to start, so I was like, "Shit, I'm gonna think of something I can come up with." And my dad, at the time I was working for him, sent me to go get the oil changed in one of his vehicles, and I went to the Quick Lube, and it was full of people in there, and people were complaining how long it was taking. And a light bulb went off on my head, and I said, I bet you if I started an on-site oil change business, going to people's houses and going to their businesses, they wouldn't have to leave work, and I could probably make some money while I was in college. So I talked to my dad about it. I asked him to borrow $100. I borrowed $100 from him and bought a set of wrenches, an oil bucket, and a filter wrench. Never knew how to change oil. Never changed oil before.
No way.
And asked my dad to show me how to change oil. So my first oil change was on his truck. He showed me. It was pretty simple. Drain the oil plug, change the filter. From there, I went and made some business cards, and I started going to all these different oil field fleet accounts, dropping off cards, and telling everybody that I can do on-site oil change.
Okay.
It literally blew up overnight. I had more business than work that I knew what to do with, and I would go in between class and college, in between hours, and I would go and change oil. And I got to a point where by the time my senior year came around, I had evolved that into doing detail work, car wash, wax, shampoo, and I got into auto glass repair. I started fixing rock chips, replacing windshields. By the time I was a senior in college, graduating, I was making $100,000 a year. At 20, I was 23 at the time, about to graduate college. And
did you make it all the way through college, or were you like, I'm making all this money, what do I need this education for?
Well, I was already too invested. I was already almost, by the time I was making money, I was a senior, right? I was like, I'm not going to quit now. Let me just finish. So I finished, I graduated in business. And then while all my friends went and got jobs making, 30, 40 grand a year, I was like, shit, I'm just going to scale what I'm doing. I'm already making 100 grand a year. So I went and I really just started pushing hard. I bought another trailer. I had 2 trailers, 2 trucks on the road doing on-site oil change. Did that for, probably about a year and a half, 2 years. And I was like, I can't scale this anymore. Like I'm chasing money. I said, I need a physical location. So from there, but I didn't have the means or ways, but I started putting out feelers trying to get a quick lube that I can buy. Well, first opportunity came up. I found a motivated seller of a quick lube, and he wasn't paying his rent. So she kicked him out. She put me in, and I basically doubled my income overnight when I got a physical location. Wow. Then from there, I was like, okay, I want to scale this. I want to get 3-4 more locations. I was just renting that spot, but I didn't have the money to buy another location, but I was putting feelers out anyway. Well, an awesome opportunity from another motivated seller. A guy was on drugs, not paying his taxes in one of the busiest streets in my town. Had a mechanic shop in Quick Lube that I knew he was in a bind to sell because I knew people that worked there, and I got in contact with him, came up with a price. Well, by the grace of God, right around this time, I didn't have the money to put down. I paid $860,000 for it. The 20% down payment was $135,000. I didn't have that down payment, but I had built a house, I think 3 or 4 years prior to that, little spec house, and this is probably 2004. Well, up until that point, we had massive appreciation. If you guys know what the market did from 2006 to 2008, like literally your house appraised every 10-20% every 4 months.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Well, what happened was in 2005, Katrina hit New Orleans, and we had a devastated New Orleans area. Everybody moved from New Orleans to Lafayette, Baton Rouge, Houston, and Atlanta. Well, market was already hot. Supply was low. Demand was super high, and that just compounded it. Demand went up even higher because there was no supply. And I saw the writing on the wall, and I told my wife, I said, look, we should put our house for sale. So she agreed to. So we painted a couple of rooms, landscaped the front, put it for sale. We sold it within like 2 weeks, and we made $127,000 on our first flip at 25 years old. I took that money and I used it for the down payment to buy my first quick lube, my second quick lube. But from there, I was like, okay, there's money in real estate.
You're on business.
Yeah. So I said, but I'm still making good money with my quick lube, so I don't want to stop doing that. So I bought a piece of land that I was going to build a house on the bayou. If you don't know what a bayou, it's not a river, it's not a creek, it's like a muddy channel of water in South Louisiana, if you're from the north. But it was a very valuable piece of land. Bought that, held on to that for 3 months, turned around and resold that, made $30,000 or $40,000 on that. And at the same time, I took that money and I rolled that into investing back in my shops. And then I bought a pre-foreclosure in another neighborhood from after we sold our house. We put about $60,000 into that. I stayed in it about a year and a couple months, and we flipped that. I made $60,000, and I rolled that into another shop. So I was using I was using the flip game. I was flipping houses and rolling it into my business to buy more physical locations. Awesome. I did that a couple of times, and I got up to, I had bought like 4 locations, right? Well, 2 of them I bought, and the other 2 I was leasing. Actually, 3 I bought, 1 of them I was leasing. So I got real busy with that. I ended up flipping a bunch of properties, got really big, had 35 employees, and I had the biggest oil change, quickly car wash location here in Lafayette. So I was like, hell, I'm focused on this because I'm making real good money, even though the real estate game is good. Focused on that, did that for a while, made a good bit of money, took all that money. I was like, okay, this is probably 2 years later. Let's get back in the real estate game. I read a Rich Dad, Poor Dad book, and I was like, I want to get back into real estate. Well, I started buying single family homes with a realtor. And I was like, making 20, 30 offers on MLS, buying properties at 80, 85 cents in the dollar. I thought I was cool. I thought I was a real estate investor.
Now, what year was this at this point, Chris, when you started diving in?
This is 2011-ish.
Okay.
2011, 2012. Okay.
Yeah.
I bought
So
up
that's
about.
when yeah, that's when you started really diving into real estate much more.
That's when I went back into it. I did the oil change thing for about 3 or 4 years, focused on that, did really well. But I was like, okay, I got some money. Let's go back into real estate.
Yeah.
Started buying a bunch of single family homes with a realtor, making 20, 30 offers, buying 80, 85 cents on the dollar. Thought I was cool. I did that for 2 years, bought 33 single family homes. I think I had about $3 million worth of single family homes. I was making probably, 12, 15 grand a month passive income. And the economy's booming here in the South. The oil field was doing great. When 2014 came along, and the oil went from $128 a barrel to $28 a barrel. I was no longer cool anymore. We lost tens of thousands of jobs. We went from Lafayette actually was ranked like top 3 best small cities to live in, economically speaking, for the best economy. And we in the country, we were ranked number 3. We were ranked number 3 at one time for small cities for best economy. We went from the best economy to the number 2 worst economy.
Oh, wow.
We lost tens of thousands of jobs. Everybody, started moving out of Louisiana, moving to Florida, moving to Texas, looking for work. Well, I had these 4 locations, these shops, plus I had, about 25, 30 single family homes, and people stopped paying rent.
Yeah.
I lost all my fleet accounts with the oil field because I'd say 60% of my business was oil field related because we had all these contracts with these oil field companies. All the oil field companies started going bankrupt, shutting their doors, selling off all their fleet accounts. I mean, I had hundreds of vehicles that would come through my store that were from the oil field. Well, they no longer had any more business or any more money, so they just quit coming. My sales dropped every quarter, and it got to the point where I was breaking even, and some months losing money. Well, half my renters stopped paying rent, so I'm freaking out. But by the grace of God, I would say about 3 to 4 months prior to the crash of 2014, the oil field crash, I found out about wholesaling. I was doing research about real estate investing on YouTube, and a black guy came on and he was talking about wholesaling real estate. I was like, wholesaling real estate? What is that? That seems cool. So I started following him, watching his videos. I was like, shit, I can do that. Well, I went and I actually wholesaled one of my properties that I had bought and made like a super small profit. I made $2,500 on one of the single family homes that I had bought.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's something to this. So I went and I went all in with training. I hired 3 mentors back to back to back. And
I was going to say, your house is from agents, basically. I was going to ask you how you transitioned to the direct to seller market, but just dove straight into all the coaching and into it.
Well, I realized that buying single family homes on MLS and buying at 80, 85 cents on the dollar is not a good deal. I think a lot of people have a misconception of being a professional real estate investor of how deeply discounted you have to buy to handle the ebbs and flows of the crashes, the booms, and the busts. Now, that 80 to 85 cents on the dollar that I had bought pre-2014, the equity I had in it evaporated because home prices came down. That 15, 20% equity position I had, I was into all these properties 100%, loan to value, and they weren't paying rent. So I was screwed. I was upside down or at parity. I had no equity.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much screwed. I screwed myself. Like I said, by the grace of God, I was looking up wholesaling and wanted to, I was looking up real estate investing, came across wholesaling. And once I wholesaled my first deal, I hired 3 mentors back to back to back. And within 30 days of the first program that I bought, it was like 30 days from the first program I bought. After I went through the program, the next 30 days after that, I made $47,000 on the side while still running my shops, wholesale.
And you're running a full-time business with 30 plus employees, man. That's nuts.
Well, I had managers. I had managers at each shop. So, I had help. I don't want to say I was doing it all on my own. But I was doing it on the side. And once I made that $47,000, it basically covered all my losses that I was having in my rentals. So wholesaling saved me from going BK. So, but once I made that $47,000, I was like, I can make $47,000 on the side, part-time, no employees. and I can make this kind of money. You know how many oil
Yeah.
changes, brake jobs, tune-ups, windshield repairs, tires I got to change out to net $47,000?
A few thousand.
It's a whole lot of work. Yeah.
That's a whole lot of work, and that's all the moving parts with the people and them messing up stuff, and the customers complaining about this. It's a lot of headache, a lot of moving parts. So I was like, a light bulb went off. The light bulb went off in my head. I said, okay, I'm in the wrong business. I went to talk to all my managers. I threw the keys at them. I said, hey, listen, guys, don't call me unless somebody dies. I'm not doing this no more. I'm going to focus on something that makes money. So I deep dive wholesaling. Well, it was the perfect environment to start wholesaling because all these foreclosures started coming on the market because everybody was losing their jobs. So it was just a perfect environment. Well, I started making $40, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 a month once I went full time. That's all I did. I was putting out bandit signs, talking with realtors, doing some direct mail, doing a bunch of Facebook ads, and I was freaking slaying it.
Like a lot of people I talk to, Chris, they're afraid to make that investment into coaching, or they've got a decent paying job and they're so afraid to let that go. Was that ever into the back of your head? Like, or you just saw, nope, this is my path. I'm going all in on it, you know?
Well, I had proof of concept because I made $47,000 after I went on my own, and I was like, okay, this works, right? So a lot of people don't have the problem with most people that don't want to hire a coach, or they're scared to hire coaches, that their self-confidence is low and they're skeptical, which they should be, right? Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. What's the fail rate of entrepreneurs? It's like 90%, right? So it's going to be hard. It's a tough journey, but I already had the reason I was so successful out the gate is that I was already a successful entrepreneur. I already had money to spend on marketing. So it was a little less, the barriers for me to get through were a lot less harder compared to somebody that's maybe coming from a W-2 job, doesn't know how to run a business, doesn't know how to talk to people. So yes, it's going to be a lot harder for somebody that doesn't have those skills, right? You need certain entrepreneurial skills to make this business go right, just like any business. Yeah. So I took off with that business, and I did so well with the coaching programs that I had that they asked me to go work in their sales department, selling coaching. My mentors, because I was posting checks. I was posting $40,000 checks, $20,000 checks. And all the students were asking me all kind of questions like, how do I do this? How do I do that? You killing the game. So the coaches asked, hey, Chris, why don't you come sell for us? So I did that for about 6 months, and I slayed the sales guy because I know how to talk to people. I already had a background in sales, right? I slayed the sales department, and then it got to a point where I was making these other coaching companies rich, and doing this and that for them and helping them. And I realized that they were all coming. I was selling, and they were asking me questions after I'm selling. I might as well be just doing this shit on my own, right? And I realized that I was a better investor than my own coaches. After finding out working for them, I was like, I need to be doing this on my own. So that's what catapulted me in the coaching game. And then so I matched I started doing the wholesaling and flipping, and then from there, and the coaching, and then from there I started scaling out to I mastered my backyard. I was doing probably 6 to 10 deals a month here in Lafayette when I first started, and then I went and I started expanding. I started going to Baton Rouge, which was an hour out from Lafayette. Then I kept expanding and kept expanding. From there, I wholesaled for about 2 years. And took all the money that I was making from my wholesaling business, basically to live off of, and to lick my wounds off the money I was losing off of my shops and the single family homes. So I slowly started selling off all these single family homes that I was at either parity or reverse or upside down. Lost money. I lost $40,000 on a house last year. Wow. I lost another $15,000 on a house that I bought 7-8 years ago, about a month ago. So did
the housing market where you were holding your rentals, did it never recover back to the point it was?
Never.
It was a single economy. It was oil, right?
That's all oil.
And once that went, there went the demand for housing there.
Well, the demand for housing definitely went down, and basically I had to take a huge haircut, and I had to lick my wounds. I just started selling off. Now I did make a little bit of money on some of the houses that I bought, right? But most of them I either broke even, made $2,000, $5,000, and in some of them I took some serious losses on. Like I said, the $20,000 or $15,000 on one a couple months ago. I lost $40,000 on another one last year, and I got a piece of property I was supposed to build a car wash on that I bought that I'm probably $100,000 upside down on. So wow. I tell you this because I want you to learn, because there's no lessons in if a guru comes on and all he talks about how much he wins, run. He's full of shit. He's full of shit, folks.
That's funny. I mean, I wanted to ask you what were some of the tough lessons or mistakes you made early on. I think you kind of just gave away a few of them, but was it investing too much in the single family market that made this shift to these bigger deals that you're doing now? Or?
No. I mean, look, I do think people should probably start off with single family homes because it's a good entry point. Yeah. And then it depends on the market you're in. Maybe there may not be any apartments or mobile home parks in your area. That may not be the real estate in your market, right? There is no right or wrong answer. I mean, single family homes are definitely harder to scale. I like mobile home parks just from the pure standpoint of everything's cheaper to fix. But if that's what you have in your backyard, definitely invest in that first. But let me tell you guys, all this builds up to this point. You grossly underestimate how cheap you need to buy properties for when you're buying and holding. Yeah. Like you take it from me. You have to go direct to seller. You want to bypass the realtors. If it's on MLS and there's hundreds of eyeballs looking at it, thousands, it's not a deal, folks.
Yeah.
The more eyeballs that look at it, it drives the price up.
Yep.
You're trying to be the only eyeballs on it. That's where the deals are at. Direct to seller marketing. I realize that wholesaling is the foundation of real estate investing. It's the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s. Why? Because without a good deal, you ain't got nothing. And a good deal doesn't mean buying it 80 to 90 cents on the dollar. Now, that's relatively speaking. Some of you guys that may watch this from California and New York, if you buy a property 80 cents on the dollar, it's $1 million property. That's probably a good deal. I'm talking about middle America. I'm talking about your $150,000 to $200,000 house. 80 cents on the dollar is not good enough when you're becoming an investor. I'm sorry.
That's exactly where we're at. We're right in the middle of America, that 100 to 250 median price range where we're in. I see everything you're talking about, man. People think they're getting into the game, just hiring an agent and going and overpaying for houses. We see it every day, man. That's so,
why would you hire an agent? How does an agent know more about investing than somebody that's an investor? Why wouldn't you go to see an investor to ask them how they scale their? It's the funniest thing because I was told the same thing, and that's what I did. I went and got a realtor. The realtor doesn't know jack shit about investing. That's why she's a realtor.
You know what's funny? So I got into the game, Chris. I joined a big national coaching program, and that's how I got started in real estate. And one of the first systems they taught us was the MLS offer system. Go find yourself a good agent and start making offers on the MLS. Like, I just paid all this money for somebody to tell me that, you know?
Well, I think a lot of people got lucky because the market was on an upswing at one point, a really high upswing. So you could buy a property at X amount of dollars and then be over budget on the rehab or whatever and still win because the house darn appreciated in 6 months before you sold it.
Well, like you said, too, I mean, a lot of these gurus started coming out when it was that easy. You know, the foreclosures were everywhere. You could pick them off left and right, you know. It's not like that these days. So,
no.
It's all about the direct to seller, man.
It all goes back to direct to seller and finding a deal. If you ain't got a good deal, you ain't got shit. That's the foundation. That's why I wrote the book called The Source of the Deal, right? You have to become the source of the deal, meaning you got to get the deals yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you can't find deals from realtors. I still buy deals from realtors every now and then. I still buy mobile home parks from realtors every now and then. But the mass majority of the properties we're buying are direct to seller, off market, direct to seller marketing.
But those agents are usually bringing them directly to you because you are an authority in the market.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great point. So let me distinguish because I don't want to discredit realtors. They will bring you good deals, but they're only a good deal if they're off market and they're a pocket listing. If you're the first person to look at it, yes. Then it's a good deal. But if they're bringing you a deal that it's on MLS and it's been on MLS for 6 months, 3 months, it's not a good deal, folks.
Yeah. Why has it been sitting out there? It's got some stink on it for some reason.
That's right.
No, that's good stuff. Hey, we got a couple of people chiming in here. Alex Helbig. Hey, what's up? Happy to be here. Blake, no censoring, Rood. Don't have to worry about that here, man. We are unapologetic, patriotic real estate investors.
That's right.
So Chris, I mean, you just gave us pretty much the whole story here up until now, man. What At what point here did you begin to scale up? And like you told us about becoming a dynamic investor, at what point did you start to make that transition?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like I'm anti-guru. Like I listen to people on social media and I listen because I'm in the trenches, folks. Like blood, sweat, and tears. I do deals. I'm still on the road looking at properties. I looked at 2 mobile home parks yesterday, me and my wife. Like I'm not in some ivory tower smoking a fucking cigar, taking pictures in Lambos. That's all horse shit. Yeah. Horse shit. I'm in the trenches. So I know what works and what doesn't work. And I know when I hear some gurus say do this or do that, or that you should act like this or don't do that, I know it's horseshit because I'm like, that doesn't work. You're lying. Because I'm in the trenches. So I'm telling you this because when you're becoming a real estate investor, you have to pay attention to what you're doing in a sense of what really works and what doesn't really work, because there's a lot of misinformation, right? Mm-hmm. So when I'm going and I'm looking at properties, I have to understand that me as an investor, I know what I'm looking at because I've been there before and I've looked at hundreds of properties, thousands of properties, and that's how you develop the skill set. The way out is through, meaning how do you develop a skill, right? Right here, a skill. Yeah. A skill is something you do hundreds of thousands of times till you dial in what exactly works. So you have to get out there and grind. Like there's no secret. Like, yes, a mentor is going to dial in the what you should look at and maybe what you shouldn't look at to help you narrow down that skill set. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to put in massive amounts of work. There is nothing easy. Anything that makes money is hard. That's why it's rare and valuable. Get that in your head, folks. Anything that's rare and valuable is hard. That's why gold is hard to find. Why diamonds are hard to mine. Because it's hard to find, right? Just like a motivated seller, it's hard to find a motivated seller. That's why it's valuable. Yeah. So do the hard work and understand that you can do more. Just like I want to get back to what you're saying. This ties into being a dynamic investor. Mm-hmm. You can do more than just wholesaling, folks. I know you get all these gurus telling you, focus on one thing. Only do one thing. That's horseshit. Real estate.
Yeah, right here, and there's big deals right here and there. Like, you're just missing out, man. So.
Yeah, I focus now. I do agree. You should master wholesaling and focus on wholesaling first because it gives you direct access to the best deals. If you were at my mastermind, so when I wrote that vertical V, that V, because it starts with direct to seller market, then it opens up into everything else, opportunities like land development, everything else, right? So you can't just be in wholesaling. If that's all you do is wholesaling, it's great that you should start off with that, but you have to understand that like you should be wholetailing. You should learn how to raise private money so you can flip properties. Then you should learn how to get into the land development game, right? Then you should learn how to do, rental properties. It's not necessarily going off in all kind of different directions because it's still in the same wheelhouse. It's not like you're going off and starting a whole nother business. There's so many different ways to make money in real estate, and you need to have at least 3 to 5 to 6 revenue streams to become a professional real estate investor. Otherwise, you're going to do like this when it comes to cash flow, right? Yeah. Because wholesaling is really hard. It slows down. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, we've realized this too. I mean, wholesaling is one of our core focuses. We're also building a rental portfolio and doing some flips. We don't have a huge rehab team built out, so we've partnered on a couple other people that do. We've brought them the deal, partnered up, JV, do some wholesales or some flips that way. You don't have to do it all, like you said, but you can make strategic partnerships and start to scale your business that way. That's something we're trying to do.
Talk about your team a little bit, Chris, because you don't have a huge team, do you? And you're doing all this stuff. So
we're in about 6 markets. We were in 8 markets before COVID, but I backed off the 6, the best markets that we kept, and we got rid of 2. So we have 3 girls in the office in South Louisiana here in Lafayette that handle the rental. One handles the rental portfolio. One handles a lot of the online marketing that we do. Mm-hmm. Another girl does a lot of letters, and she helps out with the kids. So we kind of I wrap my whole life around real estate, and I've organized my life to scale. So we homeschool all of our kids. All of our kids are at our office along with the 3 girls. Great. I love that. I've got 5 kids. Yep. because I want to control their environment. I want to control everything so I can control. Because I mean, school these days it's like prison for kids, and now they making them wear diapers face diapers everywhere they go. It's just it's ridiculous. So they what we do is we organize everything to where we can have the life we want. I control my kids' environment. We have 3 girls at office. We have a teacher, a nanny, office girls that are running, deal flow, marketing, letters, collecting rent. We have about 350 doors. We're looking to buy, a couple more parks here soon. I've been buying about a mobile home park almost every other month. So that those 3 girls handle. So the leads come into the office, then they get quarterbacked to the different partners that we have in the markets. And if you came to the Mastermind, you'd probably talk to a couple of my partners that were at the Mastermind.
Okay.
We just quarterback those leads from the main office, and we qualify them for motivation, equity, location. And if it's a good lead, we send it out to, our partner in Florida, or our partner in Alabama, or our partner in Baton Rouge, our partner in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and anything that's local where I'm at. I'll handle lead flow locally. And then I'm in charge of going to the mobile home parks. Anything that's multifamily, I handle all that. Unless it's really far away in Florida, then I'll get my partner to go
You're
look
doing
at
the
it.
high level acquisition stuff. That's what you love.
And that's what the CEO should be, as the high level.
Yeah. I all the multi-million-dollar projects. I can't send an acquisition guy that's just good at sales that doesn't even own any properties. He doesn't know what he's looking at. Like if you don't own, like all these guys saying, "Oh, you still working, Rood? Why are you not getting everybody to do that for you, dude?" Like you can't send a low-level guy to go talk to a high-level guy that owns millions of dollars of real estate. He's not going to take you serious. This is the secret to how I get all these deals. I'm in the trenches. I'm 39 years old. I'm young. I'm still going to go hustle. I'm trying to put it in now, right? And who's going to negotiate it better than me, right? So my secret weapon is I bring my wife with me, and we look like a team. Usually the people we're buying this from are burnout landlords. They're older people. They're the baby boomer generation. Me and my wife, we go meet with them. They end up liking us, and we get these deals, and we get them for a screaming hot deal, right? Yeah. So I'm the tip of the spear when it comes to the multifamily mobile home parks acquisitions, and then the wholesaling and flipping. My wife does a whole lot of the flipping locally. If we flip in properties here in Lafayette,
she's an agent. She's an agent, right?
Yep. And she's an agent. Yep. And then I have a guy that works for me on the coaching side that handles lead flow for the coaching students. And then we have a couple short-term vacation rentals on the beach that we use to do masterminds, which you guys just came to. So you see how, and I've got a couple land development, multi-million-dollar land development deals going on right now. You don't have to just flip. You don't have to just wholesale. Learn to be a dynamic investor. It's not that complicated. As long as you have a good deal, if you're buying a deal at 50 cents on the dollar, it's kind of hard to lose. You can mess up a lot, right? And a lot of you guys that are getting into wholesale and you're getting like a tract of 20, 30 acres and you don't even know what to do with it. If you'd partner up with a land development guy, you could probably make $500,000 to $700,000, but you don't even know what you're looking at. And I'm saying this because I did the same thing. I was throwing away tracts of land. I didn't even know what I was looking at.
Yeah, that's something we were doing until we came to your mastermind last month. So now we know what to do with those things.
Let's talk about affordable housing a little bit, Chris. There's a big push to that right now because of the mortgage forbearance and everything that's coming up in the market. So, like in St. Louis, single families is very affordable. So we're probably going to stick to that strategy, but it's not the same way in every single market. So can you kind of touch on that and how that's affecting your investment strategy? Yeah,
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm not that smart. Like what I am is I listen. Like I watch and I listen because I just can't figure out things. I'm not aware enough. I am aware enough to know that I don't know. Right. Sure. So I watch people and what they're doing. I watch the big players. Warren Buffett, right? He's the top of the totem pole. What is he investing in? He's investing in affordable housing. He bought out Clayton Mobile Homes. He bought out that other big mobile home distribution. He's buying up huge mobile home parks across the country. Blackstone, the biggest hedge fund in the world, one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, just announced that they put $500 million into buying mobile home parks here. I think it was about maybe 60 days ago. So, and now, granted, I was doing all this, I've been investing in mobile homes for 3 years now, mobile home parks, because I I saw the writing on the wall. I knew that it was hard to make single family homes cash flow when an AC unit breaks, it's $7,000, or the roof goes, it's $8-9 grand. Well, I wanted something that I could get into, and I YouTubed mobile home parks. There wasn't a whole lot on there, but I was like, this has got to be very lucrative, because if I read an article probably 5 years ago that Warren Buffett was investing in mobile home parks, and it always stuck. And when I got that's where it started. That was about 5 years ago. I remember him reading an article about him, and I was like, I'd like to buy a mobile home park, because we have a bunch here in Louisiana. Well, an opportunity came up from a realtor, a pocket listing, and I bought my first mobile home park for $405,000, and it appraised for $750,000. It was a 24 unit. Wow. So I bought that, rehabbed it. It took me about 8 months to finish rehabbing. I took the rent from $7,500 to $15,500, and I'm all into the park for about $600,000. So I got $600,000 worth of debt. Well, I say debt. I paid cash for the rehab, so I only owe, like, probably right now only about $375 on it. But I'm getting $15,500. Apartments don't do that.
No.
Single family homes don't do that. And what I've noticed just by the trial of, just by trial and error, is that everything is cheaper to fix, right? And they stay there longer. Okay. And now here's the problem. This is the barrier to entry, but it's a great barrier, because once you get into that barrier, then you have a niche, right? It's hard to get a loan, which is what is great for me, because it's hard for people. There's no competition, right? So
you love it.
So I'm going around buying all these parks. Now, a lot of people locally who know me are trying to buy parks now, because they see what I'm doing, and nationally. But once you get hooked up with the banks, and the secret is it's not big banks to get loans. You have to build relationships with the smaller community banks and the family owned banks. And then once you're in with them, you're golden, because then they see what the cash flow potential is on those.
Chris, you mentioned that you paid cash for the rehab on that park. Do the banks not like to loan for the rehab money on these type of deals, or it's just cheaper to go that route?
Well, I don't think they. I'm trying to remember that deal. I mean, that deal was like 3.5 years ago. I bought that. I don't think they wanted to give me any more money because I didn't have to put any money down. By the way, that's the beautiful thing about smaller community banks. They'll work with you. I literally put zero money down in that park. Wow. So I bought it with no money down, and what I did was I took the rent, the money, the positive cash flow rent that came in, plus whatever profits I made from my wholesaling, my flipping, my coaching company, and we just rolled that into the hard asset. And you just keep rolling all your cash flow into your passive cash flow. And what happens is you actively will work yourself out of actively having to flip and wholesale, because you got more passive income than you have active income. So the secret is to take all your active income, whatever it is, wholesaling, flipping, land development, coaching, brokerages, realtors, all the different wheels on the spoke, right? The spokes on the wheel of real estate investing, and you roll that into passive instruments, right? That spit out cash flow. And if you do that for long enough, you'll actively work yourself out of a job, right? Like you won't have you become financially, wealthy, right? And that's what I've done. And now, granted, I'm not financially where I want to be yet, but I know at the current trajectory that I'm doing, that eventually I won't have to literally I'll have more passive income than active income. And I think that's the goal for a lot of people. When you're
I think we're lost here.
Yep. Yeah. Am I back?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. When your passive income exceeds your active income, then you've made it, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're probably not too far off, brother. How far are you going to take this thing, man? I mean, do you eventually see yourself just focusing on coaching at one point, or?
No, listen, I love the game of real estate investing. It's a game just like anything else, guys. Like, it's no different than going and playing soccer, baseball, or basketball, or football, right?
Yeah.
I love the game. I don't think I'll ever stop, trying. I have a number in my mind. I mean, I'm 39. By the time I'm 55, I put a number. I want to make $1 million a month passive by the time I'm 55, right? I think if I go hard enough, I think I can do it, right? Now that's the game, right? Now, do you really think people that are playing a game like that, if I'm 55 and I'm making $1 million a month passively, do you really think I'm like, oh, the game's over, I'm done? No. It's just you're going to get into a bigger game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So it's the active pursuit of your chasing your goals and accomplishing those the smaller goals to get to the bigger goal that gives you the fulfillment and gives you purpose in life, because it gives you something to chase, right?
Yeah.
That resonates a lot with, we sat down with one of our mentors last week, and he pretty much said the same thing. He's at that point where he's in his 50s now, where you want to get to. At that point, he doesn't have to work a day anymore if he doesn't want to, but he's elevated his team around him. So he exited out of that CEO mode, being the boss, a long time ago. And it seems like you've done that as well, where you've built up a really solid team around you, where it's not like you're a bottleneck in your business. Everything's got to run through you.
Right.
You are focused on doing what you love the most, bringing your family along for the ride.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep going, man. It's pretty beautiful stuff, dude. Love it.
I think one of the funniest things of the whole entire mastermind, Chris, that we were at, where you're like, I don't even know what's going on with these mobile home parks. I got the girls in the office; they take care of everything. I just buy the deal.
And I stay in my lane, right? I give them total autonomy and freedom. I let them create their own system, because I let them own their position, right? Like, stop trying to like boss hog everything and create a system that you love. Well, maybe the people that are working it don't love that system, right? I know I'm good at acquisitions and finding a deal. And once I do that, I pass it along to them and they do their thing, and it's working. I see the money collected every month. We're cash flow positive. We have problems just like anybody else. And on the rehab side, where, you get a bad couple of workers every now and then, because they like that funny stuff that goes up their nose every now and then, and it turns into a mess. And, but at the end of the day, I stay in my lane, right? I stay in my lane, and I keep doing what I'm good at and what fulfills me and what makes me happy. And that's acquisitions and finding new mobile home parks, new apartments. And we bring our whole family along. I homeschool. My kids, come with us, or, my kids, you saw that my kids are running around the whole time. They're in the mastermind, because I want to create an environment of that's all they know, and they don't know anything better. Right.
Right.
You're exposing them to an environment that 99% of other kids are never going to have. I mean, they're getting to rub elbows with some high level people and see different places all the time. That's pretty awesome what you got going on, man.
Yeah.
Chris, talk a little bit about mindset here. You talk a lot about it. 80% of it, what we learned at the mastermind, and everybody came back to mindset. It seems like you've mastered it, but I'm sure it wasn't always like that for you.
Oh, no, man.
Yeah.
Anybody that tells you that they're just totally on tap with mindset, totally on tap with mindset is they're lying to you, right? Especially when you're first getting started as an entrepreneur. We're for the most part, when you're born, everybody's pretty much insecure. If anybody sits there and tells you they have the most high level mindset growing up, no matter what, I would say they're lying, right?
Well, aren't people just born champions,
Yeah, sure. Yep. I got some oceanfront property in Tennessee also. So, but I think the name of the game for entrepreneurship, the de facto thing that people are missing, and why most people are successful or not successful, is personal development, working on yourself all the time. And that's what I could say I've honestly done different than 99% of the people out there. And I watch other high level guys, and they've done the same thing. I've spent more money on personal development than you probably would, but then most people would even they would think I was probably crazy, right?
Probably more than you want to tell the audience, I'm sure.
Well, I would say, I don't. You may think I'm crazy if I tell you how much money I've spent in personal development, but I mean, it is the de facto factor that's keeping you from scaling your business, right? And when I say personal development, what do you mean by that, right? I mean, developing yourself to the point where you have an unshakable mindset of certainty, direction, and intention about what you want, and you can't be shaken, right? You can't come up to Chris Rood and say, hey, you're a stupid redneck from South Louisiana, and I don't like you, and you got that funny accent, and who do you think you are? You're dumb as rocks. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm unshakable because I know who I am, because I've worked on myself hard enough that I've hardened myself so much that you can't penetrate the mindset I've built for myself. So now, how do you do that, right? How do you get to that point? You're going to have to get around other people that are thinking bigger than you, that have that iron mindset, and because iron sharpens iron, right? Yeah. So you go to masterminds like what you guys did with the mastermind. That's personal development, right?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
That reading books, right? Hiring mentors, getting your not just your mental state in check, but your physical state, right? Working out, tithing, doing. There's a lot of different things you could do, but at the end of the day, it's an inside job. You're gonna have to trick yourself because, like I told you guys, the mastermind, right? You got to know you're the baddest motherfucker in the room, no matter what, right? It doesn't matter what the other guy thinks, as long as you know that you're the baddest motherfucker and he's not. That's all that counts. That's a hard thing for people to grasp, right? Because whatever you believe and whatever you put your attention on magnifies.
Yeah.
Everything is energy. So if you don't believe that you're a bad motherfucker, you don't believe that you deserve it, you don't believe this, you don't believe that because of current circumstances, the way you were raised, then that's what you're going to get more of, right? It's the law of attraction. It's the visualization part of who do you want to be, right?
You are control of the real estate in between your ears, man. That's
absolutely. And what you think manifest in life. I'm not gonna get all hocus pocus on y'all, but everything that I've ever wanted in life, I thought it up first, and I believed it hard enough, and I psyched myself out to know I deserved it, and it showed up in my life. Now, did I have to work for it? Absolutely. But the harder I work, the luckier I get. It's the strangest thing, and I'm very intentional. I put it in my mind that I want it, and I just keep moving and moving, and if things get harder, just put it in a low gear. Just keep taking the next step, and then things open up. And then what I do on top of that is, because as soon as you start reaching for your goals and dreams, you're going to get attacked by people that don't want you to have what you want because they've given up on themselves. They're very insecure. So this goes back to what I talked to you guys about in the mastermind environment. Mm-hmm. Dude, environment.
Over and over, for sure.
You could be the baddest dude on the block mentally, and you're really, you got a lot of horsepower in your mind, and you really know what you want. You're very intentional. But if you're around a bunch of low life deadbeats that are constantly, chipping away at your, what you're trying to do and invalidating your dreams and your goals, you're gonna start self-sabotaging yourself because you're gonna start believing what they say.
Chris, one of the biggest takeaways from the weekend we spent with you was at the end, you and your wife got up there and talked about just having a rock solid partnership and marriage. And it seems like everything you just talked about there, you've been able to block out those external forces because you guys are not only best friends, like childhood sweethearts, but you support each other 100% in your business because you talked about with visualization there, something you and your wife have been practicing for years, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and I just want to add too, I know that the buzzword is authentic, but you could tell, you guys weren't just doing that as performance because you guys were in tune to one another the entire time. I was watching. You guys were, making sure everything was coordinated properly. Even the lunches were delivered, and you're super cordial with one another. It wasn't like you were phony at all. And I really respected you guys a lot after first meeting you, and then how you sat down with the group and really hammered home that message of being a good spouse and a good husband. I thought that was great.
Yeah, totally.
I appreciate that. And that's how it should be, right? That's how the problem with a lot of couples is that one's going in one direction, the other's going in the other direction. A lot of that is because one grows without the other, right? You have to grow together. You got to bring your wife. You got to do stuff with her on the personal development side. Bring it to masterminds. Bring it to a conference or something, and you'll see, because you got to get her drinking the Kool-Aid, right? And that's what I did. I mean, you just got to. My wife wasn't always on board. I tricked her. I tricked her into coming to a mastermind by promising I'd buy her a Chanel purse, and then she loved the mastermind so much she didn't even leave to go buy the Chanel purse because she was so hooked on the mastermind. Because you don't know. Because you don't know what you don't know, right? Because you think that's all phony.
I'm going to get a bit more expensive purse now. After that.
Chanel purses.
Yeah, man. Look, I me and my wife, we fight just like anybody else. We have our arguments just like anybody else. But at the end of the day, we know that we have each other's backs, and we know that she's my biggest cheerleader. She pushes me hard. Like, really, the reason I can reach so far and so hard, and I try to go reach for my dreams, because she pushes me hard, and she expects that, right? And she pushes me harder than I push myself sometimes, or I'll invalidate myself or think I can't do that, and she'll laugh like, "You seriously think you can't do that?" So if you have a wife like that, then because she's a little feisty girl. Let me get wrong. She's feisty. Like, you don't really know her. She'll cut your throat, right? So, but
call her Big Mama Rood for no reason, man. Right?
That's right. She's a little chihuahua with a big bark. So she can be mean sometimes, but you just got to be real with one another. Like, dude, you're playing the game of husband and wife, and it's a business, right? I look at my marriage as a business, right? How much attention do we put into our relationship? Because if you guys watch too many Hollywood stories, and y'all watch like these fake movies where like you're just gonna get married to your high school sweetheart, or you're gonna blonde hair, blue eyed, drop dead gorgeous, and the sex will be awesome for years and everything's great. You ain't gonna have no problems. Dude, marriage is like running a business. You're gonna have cash flow problems, meaning like you're gonna fight and your relationship's not gonna do good. Then you're gonna make up and have some great sex, and then you're gonna find out she spent more money on her credit card than you allowed. Dude, you're gonna have massive problems. But your ability to ride out the storm for the long haul is going to make your marriage stronger and stronger and stronger, right? I mean, how many times me and my wife probably almost got divorced? Shit, I mean, like, just like every other couple, you have a fight, like, I don't know if this is going to work, right? But we just kept doing the right thing, and our life got better and better and better and better, right? Until you get into a power position, right? To where you're finally making some money, you're finally doing well, and you're happy with one another. But like I said before, the way out is through, guys. Like, you got to do the hard work. You got to get through the hard fights. And the key is to stay true to one another. And the biggest problem I see is people cheating, man. People cheat. Like, the people I know that cheat on their wives is unbelievable. And this is why they don't have a rock solid marriage, because even if they still love their wife, in the back of their mind, they know they're banging one of their high school girlfriends, and she doesn't know about it. It doesn't matter if she doesn't know about it. You know about it. You will never be able to have the relationship that you want. You will never be able to reach your potential if you got those skeletons in the closet. So I think if you just real with your wife, and you don't have any secrets, like, we don't have any secrets, 0 secrets. That is the secret to a great marriage, is 0 secrets. And if you do have a secret, just come out and say it, have the fight over it, make up, and I promise you, your marriage will get back to somewhat normality.
Way better than holding it in and then letting things melt down. I mean, you can do all this hustling and work your ass off to make all this money and build this portfolio, whatever you're trying to do. But if you don't have that shared vision with each other, and you're out screwing around, and you're not operating with a moral code and doing things ethically, like, what's the point of all of it? I'm sure you've seen tons of people like that just crash and burn.
What did you say? You said the biggest destroyer of wealth is divorce. Isn't that what you just said?
Not taxes, divorce.
It's divorce. Yeah.
It's divorce. Yep. Nobody knows. Like, everybody thinks, biggest destroyer of businesses is just a failed business or cash flow problems. No, dude. The biggest destroyer of businesses is divorces. Look it up.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about it. I think it went from you can look at the trend from like the 50s, how like people getting divorced, and it just keeps going up, up, up. I think we're like 10, 15 years ago, it was like 52%. I think we're closer to, almost, somebody have to Google it, but it's higher. I think it's almost 60% of people get divorced.
Yeah, I think it's 60.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane, man.
So there's a huge gap right there, and it tells you that you've either been lied to, or we're being fed the wrong information in school, or they're telling us things, or we're watching too many Hollywood stories. I think we're watching too many fake Hollywood stories.
I think that's it. Buying into the wrong narrative.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris, we're coming up an hour, man. We'll start to wrap this up. You're a very busy man. I know you got other stuff to do, but just one thing I want to ask you about. We talked a lot about marketing and branding, self-promotion at the Mastermind. That's something that I'm not saying you're scared to do, but maybe you didn't see the importance of early on. A lot of people came to know you from your time working together with Grant Cardone. And is that when you started to see the importance of having a personal brand?
Absolutely. So I knew if I was going to get into the coaching space, I needed to get known. And I knew that if I was going to get into, the wholesaling space and want to build a brand locally, I needed people to know who I am. So I think people grossly underestimate how powerful getting on camera is and telling the world what you do, how you do it, and how you can help them. We have this magical thing in our hands that has more power than the whole rocket ship that we used in the 60s to fly to the moon, and has more technology, and we can reach the world for free right now. I don't know how long that's going to go on with Zuckerberg and all his criminal guys that are working to censor everything, but as of now, we can still kind of talk about business. They'll probably start censoring what we can do talking about business here soon.
Yeah.
So, but my point is, I digress, but you need to use social media to tell people who you are, what you do, and how you're doing it. And what happens is you create a brand, and you get organic leads. If everybody knows what you do and why you do it, you get a bunch of leads for free. Right?
Yeah, that's what we talked about before we went to the mastermind. Everybody, if you're in business, no matter what business it's in, everyone needs to know what you do. Yeah. Right? That's the only way you can really grow organically. But it was definitely amplified when we went up there. You were talking about branding. Robert Sislo was talking about branding. Adrian was talking. Everybody talked about branding yourself, putting yourself out there. And it's something I'm uncomfortable doing. He was uncomfortable doing a little while ago, but we're slowly putting ourselves out there a little more.
It's like anything else. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, right? You guys have this podcast. I'm sure every podcast you do, it's like, okay, it's just another day at the office. It's just part of what you got to do to run a business.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Robert Sislo kind of drove it home. I asked him, like, why don't more people get on social media and promote themselves? He said there's probably 3 reasons. 1, fear.
Yeah.
2, they're hiding something. 3, they don't operate with an ethical code.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel about that, or if that makes any sense.
Well, I think if you don't have good intentions, people will see it and they'll feel it. And if you have a bunch of hidden secrets and you're not you don't have good intentions, I think you will naturally hold yourself back from reaching for your potential. If you're secretly a criminal or secretly somebody that's not doing the right thing, you will innately hide. So I think people that are reaching for their goals and dreams, I think they have the unique ability to naturally do the right thing because they're fearless in the sense that they have clean hands, right? And that's why I reach so hard. Like, I know I'm not doing anything illegal. I know that I have good intentions. I know that I know what I want, and I know that I'm not hurting anybody to do that.
Well, I think that's awesome.
Love it, man. Chris, you've dropped a ton of value for our listeners today and for us personally. What's one bit of advice? We call this thing how to scale your real estate business. I mean, maybe for the person that's just getting into wholesaling and flipping, or they've been doing it for a year or 2 and they're looking to advance up. What's the one piece of advice you got for somebody like that?
Go to chrisrood.com and book a call with me.
Skill up, baby.
Skill up. Right there. Skills get the deals, folks. No, I think, just work on yourself, guys. The things that you're going to learn from mentors, you'll never learn from college professors. You never learn from your high school, teacher. Jim Rome said it best. He says, formal education will make you a living. He said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune.
Yeah.
There has not been any truer words. And I have a college degree. I went through all that schooling and stuff. 90% of it is garbage, and it has no practical reality of theory behind it that actually helps you make money. They just tell you a bunch of facts, useless facts that you'll never use.
Yeah, I agree. I got a 4-year degree. So
yeah. I got a degree I haven't used in years. Yeah. So.
Yep. So
I'm going to for a comment here, and we'll probably wrap it up. Jake's wife says some wives don't care about purses.
Hey, honey. That's my big mama right there. She's about 5 foot. She's a firecracker too. So her and Patty would get along. That's for sure.
I love it, man. No, I mean, look, dude. If you don't love money, something's wrong with you. I mean, if they don't love purses, then get them fired up on the simple fact of making a lot more money. Anybody that tells you money doesn't make you happy is fucking lying to you. Because every time I make a big check, I get really happy.
No truer words have been spoken.
That's right.
Chris, thanks for doing this again, man. Go check out chrisrood.com, learn more about his coaching business and how to skill up. Thanks again, man.
And Yeah, go ahead and follow me at Real Estate Rood on Instagram and Chris Rood Entrepreneur on Facebook. I do a lot of free content there. So.
Okay.
Love it, man. See you at the next mastermind.
See you in March, right?
Brother. Yes, sir.
Take care.
Bye-bye.